You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
Welcome back to Miles from Main Street. This week, we're getting an introduction to Stewart Boyles.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las
This here's a wild ride into history.
indisciplined travel door is changing.
Here we are. We're back. It's been a while. I was looking back. November 24th, I believe, was the last time we had posted a show. And that's a long time. And I apologize for that. It's been a long December. Isn't that a song? Yeah.
Counting Crows.
December. And I'm happy to be back.
Yes, we're all happy to be back, and I'm happy to be back with you guys, and all of the people listening.
All of you listening peoples.
All of you listening people with your ears.
As I said, we're going to be talking to Stewart, getting to know him. Stewart's going to be the new co-host, and I thought it'd be very fitting to get to know him. But before we do, please like and subscribe to the show on your podcast app or on YouTube, and be sure to share it with your friends and family. Remember, we have new episodes every Tuesday, and you probably already realized that the Disney Dash is still going on. We just had a new episode come out on Friday, and that comes out every Friday. That's a short form podcast with my daughter Mia, where she is talking Disney from A to Z from a kid's perspective. So please get on out, share with a friend or family, and listen to the show. We're back, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stewart, our co-host.
I guess I'm the co-host now. I got promoted from listener, so.
Welcome. You've been on a few times already, and it's been a lot of fun so far, and I can't wait to see what kind of shenanigans we get into now.
Well, there should be some movies coming out this year, so maybe we can, try to get together at the movie theater.
Yes, definitely. We'll have to plan. What's the big one this summer? I keep blanking on things. But anyway, we should have done one for Mufasa.
Or even Moana 2, which I didn't realize was coming to theaters this quickly, and then it was here, and then now it's gone. So
right, yeah. But yeah, I know there's a couple of good ones coming out this year, so we'll have to definitely maybe plan a get together with all of you listeners to come on out. For sure, Stewart will find a central location and some fun.
I mean, it's gonna be down by you because there's nothing here. Yes. In case you didn't remember, listener, viewer, we had some internet issues the last couple of times I've been on. Hopefully, crossing our fingers, we've mitigated some of that. But unless I get Starlink, there's no other internet out here. So we'll hopefully be okay tonight, but we'll see.
And it's been good so far, so I think we're all right tonight. For those of you on YouTube, you can see I have a new background over here. I
love that picture, by the way.
Thank you. My wife took this picture.
That's awesome.
We went in. This is actually like 2017. She took her fancy dancy camera with her. And I couldn't get her to stop taking pictures. We spent like an hour just on Main Street as she's like taking pictures of everything. And
see, that's my kind of trip.
So that's one of them that she took. I don't know if this one's gonna stay. This one typically lives in our living room, but I stole it for tonight because we still have all the Christmas stuff up. And For those of you listening, it's a great shot of the Emporium facade. The sign, this is actually taken closer to Center Street, not Town Square. So as you're coming in, you walk past the majority of the Emporium and you get to where Center Street is on your right, and this sign will be on your left. And I just love that picture that she took. So I had to frame it and put it up
Well, there
here.
you go.
Yeah. And then she has a really great one of the Rapunzel Tower in Fantasyland that I think I might grab that one. And she just recently took a really good one of the Epcot golf ball. Is that what it's called?
That's what my dad called it.
Spaceship Earth, we'll call it.
Spaceship Earth, yes.
So yeah, I'm working on my background, and it's coming along swimmingly. I think next week you guys are gonna like what you see. So
I too am working on my background, and it is coming along as good as it can be.
Well, I love. We were before the show. He was pointing out some stuff like the Jedi Mickey there. That's
Yeah, this guy.
I might need to come visit Stewart and see what you got there.
Yeah, we
Take it home
so
with me.
no. Yes, collecting stuff has been part of my Disney journey for a long time. So,
Well, let's get into who Stewart is, where we go way off on a tangent and run out of time.
We don't ever do that, so it's fine.
No,
Don't worry about it.
Happens on this show. All right. As I've asked many a guest in the past, what connects you to Disney?
You're never supposed to start an answer with but so what connects me to Disney is the idea that it's I've been in customer service my entire life. My entire professional career has been servicing people of some kind, whether it's producing TV or delivering bread or whatever. I've worked at all the big chains. I've worked at and I've even my name means helping people of some kind, taking care of people. So I guess I was a little bit of cursed with that. So when I go to Disney and I see the absolute care that they take for as many guests as they possibly can, that makes me keep coming back. And I have a ton of stories that we'll probably all share over time. But the big one is that they take care of people when they show up to the door. When they show up, they're guests. They're not customers. They're guests. They're not attendees. They're guests. They're guests in Walt's house, and that is the way he created it when he created it back in 1955. So, that to me is the reason. If I go to Central Florida, I only need to stay on Disney property. I don't need to go down the road. I don't need to go to SeaWorld. I don't need to go to anywhere else because I know that they'll take care of us. And my family has a bunch of food allergies and some medical issues, and they've literally bent over backwards to help provide a magical time for that group of people. And so that's why I keep coming back to Disney. That's what attracts me to it. I'm just upset that I live in Wisconsin and can't go there every day.
And I think that's part of why I like getting there when I can, and why I keep going back there, because it's nice to know that I can be taken care of. Like you said, like they're gonna make it right. It might not be the exact outcome you want. It might not be a night in the Grand Floridian to make up for it.
No.
But they're going to make it right.
Right.
And I'm always careful talking about pixie dust and what they'll do for you to make it better. it doesn't it's not something that they're just going to hand out everything to you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're nice, they might make a concession of some sort. You just never know.
I mean, we had a situation where we went and my daughter lost a pin, right? And it was a special pin that only came in a case or something. It wasn't even a pin we bought at the park that day, right? It was older. Maybe I even got it out of a lot bag off of eBay or something like that. But it was a special pin, and she lost it. We went up to the cast member and said, told her the whole story about the whole thing, and she's like, "Okay, yeah, here it is. Here it is. Go." Right? No receipt, no anything. But
Yeah.
she saw this little girl about to burst into tears because her pin was missing, right? And that's what, Does that going to happen every time? No. But is it going to happen to my daughter at the moment it needed to? Absolutely. And so that's what I like about.
And that's what pixie dust is, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
the moment that something happens. It's not screaming at guest services for an hour hoping to get something that you want. That's not pixie dust.
So that's why I go to Disney, is that if they take care of our family. My oldest has many food allergies. The list is very long. In fact, one time we traveled with these identification cards that had their picture on the front, and on the back was a list of everything they had. So we went to basically every restaurant we went to on property. But the boathouse was the one where this really shined. We gave the server this card. They went back. The chef came out and said, "Okay, let's have a conversation." And we did. And at the end of the day, the kid had this plank of salmon, and this was back before COVID, so like the dining plan was really great. This plank of salmon, and it didn't cost us anything because it was on the dining plan. And then they made a special they were able to modify a recipe to get a special cake for them. That's the type of stuff that we really attract to. And then, if we went down the road to the dark place, Mufasa's out now, so it works out. The dark place, they wouldn't let this little person in wizard's robe carrying around their handmade wand have a butterbeer because we asked them to take the cream off the top of it. So I'm not saying that to disparage the other place. I'm just saying that in my mind, Disney exceeds exponentially at this thing. And I wish I could have gone on the Galactic Star Cruiser because I think that would have been amazing, right? But it was even that case at the cruise. When we were on the cruise, the waiters knew exactly what we wanted. And part of that is the cruise mentality. But, I had drinks ready to go when I sat down at the table. And they knew that my son was only eating French fries and ketchup. And they put the ketchup in the Mickey design. He wasn't eating the macaroni and cheese because, and I'm not kidding, it was too orange. So
I have kids. I know that.
Right. It is all about making the magic happen and what does that mean, right? That means that the parents don't have to sit there and fight with their kids to eat something. The parents don't have to sit there and the parents can have a vacation too. Is
right.
Kind of where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I that's why I keep coming back to Disney, is that it absolutely takes care of you in every moment. Plus Robin Hood's the best, so it works out.
You just had to throw that in there, huh?
I will, yeah.
So how often do you get there then?
Well, when I was little, we lived in Southern California, so we'd go, every 6 months. But that was 40 now, so that was 30 years ago, right? Back in the 90s, when you could just hop in the car and get down there, right?
Mhm.
We lived about 3 hours from Anaheim, and we could get there pretty regularly. Now it's a little bit tougher. We don't go nearly as often as we'd like. We try to get there every other year. Um, we have some arrangements that facilitate that a little bit easier. But honestly, um, we haven't been in probably 3 years now. So yeah, I think 3 years. But
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do, and it's becoming more difficult and more difficult and more difficult.
it is. It is. I mean, we've driven. We spent 2 days in the car driving there. We've flown there. Um, well, those are the really only two options. But we haven't really. Um, we've tried all the options, and they're all expensive, and they're all you either take time or money, and you just got to make it right.
Hmm.
We were looking at trying to go in like the first weekend of February coming up, and it was we're gonna try to go to Disneyland because that's probably easier to do and on a day and a half or whatever. And we were only gonna get basically 3 days there, 3 days of travel, right? So, but it was still gonna cost about $1,000, and that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And
It is.
so we end up watching live streams on the internet.
And I should say, it's not Disney per se that's making it expensive. I mean, your $1,000, that's not just Disney,
That's not
that's
just
plane
tickets.
tickets,
Mm-hmm.
that's hotel. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and at Disneyland specifically, you don't need to stay on property
Mm-mm.
at all.
In fact, part of what the reason we ended up choosing Anaheim is I have a bunch of hotel points because of my job, and so there's a bunch of good neighbor hotels around Disneyland, which are most of fantastic and most of fairly inexpensive. Um, do you get to stay at the Disneyland hotel? No, but that's okay. It's still walking distance, right? The hotel we stay at in Anaheim is about a half mile from downtown Disney. Yeah, I my brain flip flopped on me. So, I mean, we try to go to both parks, not equally, but we live sort of in the middle, so we can either go to both parks, one park or the other. And we both, my wife and I both grew up in Southern California, so we both love Disneyland. It has a lot of memories for us. Um, you
I
know,
do have to say though, traveling from here to Disneyland is a little bit more difficult. Not no cost involved, but like the
oh
flights are
yeah, no,
weird and the timing is off.
yeah, yeah. So here's we like I said we flip flopped on this whole thing the whole time, and what we came to the conclusion was if you're only gonna spend you only get 2 days, right? Getting to Anaheim is probably more worth your while because you get more time in the park. Whereas if you have 2 days in Florida, um, you're just kind of vapor locked. Like which park do you go to, which whatever.
Mm,
So unless you're just going down there to eat at the boathouse, which I could do, I really could do that
yeah,
anytime I wanted, right?
yeah.
Well,
Go.
anytime let's go. Uh, Flights to Florida are cheaper, or not cheaper, but less time in the air if nothing else, right?
Right. Yeah.
But more time is spent trying to get from your hotel to the thing and wherever. So Disneyland is much more doable in 2 days or 36 hours or whatever it is.
It just didn't take 4 and whatever hours to get there.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. But then you put your headphones on and you go to sleep and you're fine, as long as you don't have to change planes.
Yeah. It yeah. So obviously you take trips, but what other kinds of things are you doing that keeps you connected to Disney and still a Disney fanatic?
Uh, my best Vanna White impression. So I do love toys. I do love not I'm not buying a whole bunch of toys, right? But there are certain things that I do like to purchase. I love the figurines. I love the shirts. I do listen to podcasts. I do, whatever. But honestly, what I'm doing right now is a lot of Lorcana.
Does anybody out there play Lorcana?
If you play Lorcana, friend me. Find me and friend me, and we'll talk. No, but it's a lot of Lorcana stuff, right? And it's fun because my son and I can sit down and play, and we can collect things, and we can have a good community. And there's the game store in town is really building a solid, wholesome Lorcana community that is not about min-maxing things and poning the noobs. It's about getting together. We just did a 13 and under tournament that was the parents of it paid for everything, right? There were no entry fees for the kids or whatever. We donated everything, and it was a really fun time. And the kids all got down to play their first TCG, and everybody had to use pre-made decks and all that sort of stuff. But again, it's about creating that magic for the kids, right? And that's what it comes down to, creating that magic for the kids. And so they had a great time, and I don't think Elliot won, but that doesn't matter because he had a good time.
And it is a fun game. When it first released, I got a couple of starter decks, and I actually went out and bought some other cards to try to soup up those decks. My son and I will play those. They only have the first two series in the deck, maybe a little bit of the third. But I haven't been involved as much as I had wanted to. Now, admittedly, it can get expensive to get into trading card games. So that's been...
I have no idea what you're talking about. Just let's not talk to my wife about that.
But I know you've been bugging me to come play, and I definitely want to do that, and I got to find the time to do that. And
it'll work out.
Yeah. But hearing that there's such a great community around it there, that's awesome.
Well, it's also, yes, the community is great, and like anything though, if it gets toxic, it can be bad. But in the rules of the game, there's even like you're supposed to remind your other player to take that extra point that they forgot. Your opposing player, you're supposed to remind them to activate that power that the card has or whatever. So you're supposed to be good humans while you're playing it in the rules. So like, I think that's baked in, and I really appreciate that.
And I know when Ravensburger was coming out with the game, that was a lot of the talk was, we want to build a community around it. We want to be able to just get people interested in playing the game. We don't necessarily need to have tournaments and have super rare collectible stuff going on.
Well, they do, but yeah, I think it's real fun, and I will still blame you for being there when I bought my first decks. So
yeah, so yeah, Stewart lives, what is it, like 2 hours away now?
Yeah, just about.
Is that what it is? Yeah, and I was in Target right here in Green Bay, and I looked down this aisle, and there he's standing, and I'm like, oh my God. I said, honey, I gotta go say hi to somebody, and she kind of gives me this look, and like, well, we talked forever, I think, but then we run into each other later, and you've got 2 or 3 starter decks in your cart.
Well, so let me put it this way: the closest Target is 2 hours away. It's either 2 hours north or 2 hours south. That's just where we live. And so now you know where I live if you're really good at geo-tracking.
And I don't know that I kept you from it. I was kind of like, you might not want to put the money into it, but it's still going to be a good time. And like,
Well, so I bought it. So the first chapter had 3 decks, and I was like, okay, that's perfect. I'll buy it for the kids, and I'll be able to play one, and we'll be able to play together. They don't give any cares about it whatsoever. Elliot wants to be involved because he likes collecting, numbered things. And so, they all have their numbers on them, and so it works out really well for that. Short of that, they don't. I have to pull teeth to get them to play. So it's my hobby now. I've taken all of those decks; they're all mine now.
It's amazing how that happens, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
But the other thing that we do is, Disney music is on all the time in my house. I listen to, other podcasts. Disney trying to find that community online. Some places, whether it's on Discord or Facebook or wherever, you're trying to find it all the time. And then it's just it's just really trying to be around people who are interested in Disney, which is how you and I met. And so, you do that. You listen to all the, you watch Disney Plus all the time. You listen to the movie, you listen to the books. Kingdom Keepers was a really great series that I really enjoyed, and I'll listen to that every time. Not every time, but if it gets really bad, I'll listen to that to try to get a little bit of like, I'm in the parks again, that sort of thing. Lego. You might recognize this piece here. Goes to the camera, to the Disney 100.
That is such a cool set. The old video camera, and there's
the old
right.
There's a what?
There's a Lego Mickey, I think that's part of that set, if I remember right. No, you're giving me a blank stare.
I mean, there is. We can talk. I'll show you off camera, because I'd have to stand up to get it, but it's up there. But like, the Lego Castle, one year I got the small one. I got that for Christmas, and it's just part of life in our family. And my wife is really into it as well. Like I said, we grew up going in Southern California, so we grew up going to Disneyland. I spent grad night. I graduated high school, got on a bus, drove to Disneyland, stayed there until the 6:00 in the morning, and then drove back. It's part of my DNA, I guess. So it's
Sure.
it's really. But again, I didn't realize why until much later when I got to become an adult and realized what they were doing. One of my best memories is sitting behind. In Disneyland, they have the Matterhorn, and right in the shadow of the Matterhorn is a turkey leg stand. And so they also, behind that turkey leg stand is an open outlet that you can charge your phone. So my wife and I sat there charging our phones. This was a long time ago, so long before like you had battery packs or whatever that you carried around with you. So we're sitting there charging our phones, and I'm watching this janitorial cast member he swept up popcorn from around the park and brought it over to where the ducks are, because right there is also where it's right under the monorail, so it's right by what used to be Captain Nemo, was now Cap.
Well, they're the finding. Are you talking about the subs? The finding?
Yeah,
Nemo?
the subs. They used to be kept 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea subs, but now they're Finding Nemo or whatever. But that's where all the ducks go. And so he would empty out his garbage pail, separate out all the popcorn for the ducks, and empty it and sweep all the, the paper and whatever back up into it. And I realized that's the job I'd want at Disneyland, because it's very, low maintenance. Like, it's low key. I'm not having to deal with, the screaming moms or whatever. But it's servicing a, a, a part of the community. It's helping, the ducks. They need popcorn too. So plus it's selfless, right? There's no extra part of it. It's just you're just helping ducks. So
And yeah, and I know you've told that to us before when we were talking dream jobs last year, that that would be your dream job. So that's a fun one. Any other Disney related things that you want to get out there?
oh, I don't know. Not that I can think of. I mean, it's so ingrained in my life, right? I change my phone case every now and again, right?
Hey,
And
that's a cool one. I've not seen that one.
it was like Timu for $1.
Really? It's got Mickey Mouse
Yeah,
in it. That's
yeah.
that's pretty
And
cool.
this is the ring is the chargeable ring or whatever, right? Um, this, you know, it's
And I
it's
apologize for those of you that are listening and not
oh
watching.
yeah, no, I
All
should
kinds
do
of
that.
different things that he's showing us, and
So the
but
phone case is Mickey on the back. It's clear. It it's got the chargeable ring. He's holding on to it. The
the stupid iPhone cases too. But we won't get into how I feel about iPhones.
the the other thing I showed was a coffee cup that has a whole bunch of Mickey people on it, Mickey characters and stuff like that. So it's and then I showed some Lorcana stuff earlier. But it's just so much a part of me, part of my consciousness, right? I've tried, I haven't actually pulled the trigger on applying to any of the jobs because of the location. But, if we ever get close, yeah, I will definitely apply. Um, I just it's such an ingrained part of my life that it's hard to separate things out anymore.
Yeah, and I would love to do the same thing and work down there. So I've looked around at jobs. It's not happening anytime soon, but um,
Right.
it's fun to dream sometimes.
Right.
But you were talking about music, and we were coming home from Madison on Saturday night, and we were driving for a while and stopped at a Christmas light show in Oshkosh, and we're we get done with that, and my wife's like, we need Disney music, and she was total DJ running just playing Disney song after Disney song, and my kids all know the Disney music. I
Yeah.
can turn on pretty much anything and they're going to be able to sing it. um you, Quite a few years ago when we were down there camping, I had to go get rid of the golf cart, and I actually had the timing worked out perfectly, and I knew I'd be back to the pool area about noon. So I had sent the family off to go swimming. I went and took care of the golf cart, and I'm riding the bus to the pool area, and my wife's like, they're playing or they're swimming, having a good time, playing trivia. Should I get them ready to go? And I'm like, no, just, whatever. It's a beautiful day. Let's just stay. And I get there, and the kids are in a Disney music trivia game at the poolside, and
Nice.
they're each one of my older two. One's on one team, and the other one's on another team, and they're tied because they're that good. And
Right.
so they had to do this tiebreaker, and the teams, of course, pick my two kids to go against each other. And to this day, they will fight about how that went. Um, but like they just know the Disney music. That's just part of our, you know, DNA.
DNA, yeah. It's the Disney music is so good. On Sirius they have the Disney Channel, right? And they talk, and they do the Be Our Guest thing, which is they have you get to choose 4 songs that they play. And every now and again I'll ask my kids, what songs would you choose, and then get random stuff. But I still try to think about what songs I would choose, and I gotta think I would choose the Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest, trying to get away. Right, that song. And then Happily Ever After, which is the
Yeah,
fireworks song, right?
I was gonna bring that up too. My kids, anytime we listen to it, my daughter will be like, before we're done, we have to listen to Happily Ever After.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we all sing, and yeah.
Yeah. And it's great, and it's that community that Walt was looking for when he sat on that bench at Griffith Park and watched the merry-go-round, right?
Yeah.
It's that community. I mean, I've even this is really bad. I've even traveled to Marceline. No.
Been there twice.
Okay, so not that bad.
Yeah.
I was on a work trip in Kansas City, and I was like, I have a rental car and a credit card. What am I doing? And let's go, right? So I drove the hour and a half or whatever it was there, and I got to the museum like 45 minutes to closing or whatever. I was able to run through everything and got a T-shirt. So yeah, I don't know. I appreciate. I mean, I've looked into like Walt and Roy's business practices. How did they build a company like this? What were the challenges that they faced, and how can I apply those leadership things to my own profession, right? Obviously the customer service part is absolutely part of it, but like what how can you take that away and learn from it?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's Disney is it's a huge company, and it's come under fire for sure for a lot of reasons. Some of them are valid, some of them aren't. Some of them is just the crazy people on the internet getting mad about something. But at the end of the day, they're really interested in taking care of their people, taking care of their guests, and that's what I would want to do. So, yeah.
And to this day, their look at customer service is the gold standard.
Is unparalleled.
It's
I mean,
everywhere. You see, if they see Disney on a resume, they want them because
right.
they know they're trained in customer service.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not. I think there's a unfair light cast on Disney at times.
Mm-hmm.
The latest example I could give is Universal decided to close their parks at 7:00 all through December. Do you know what would be said about Disney if they closed the Magic Kingdom at 7:00 every day of December? And that's it. No parties, no extra events. They're just closed. Like, they would just be crucified for it.
Right. And part of that is because they've set themselves up to be that, right? I mean, I'm sure that when they saw the Universal closing at 7, they went, "Oh, really? Let's have another party," right?
Yeah.
Because who wants to go to Universal and be done by 7? And then what are you going to do for the rest of the night? Right? I don't.
I mean, City Walk can only take you so far.
Right. And it's, I mean, yeah, City Walk has the movie theater and the bowling alley and, whatever, and the Voodoo Donuts. And I've been to Voodoo Donuts. I've been to the original Voodoo Donuts. You're not impressing me much. When I can get a picture with Mickey, that's far more important. Or, more importantly than Mickey, is Gertie the dinosaur. If I can get a picture with Gertie in Hollywood Studios, chef's kiss.
I mean, I don't know. We throw Gertie around like that all the time, and how amazing Gertie can be. But when you really think about who Gertie is and the history behind Gertie the dinosaur, like, it's like for me, that's the detail on top of the detail. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
just, it's such a nod to where Walt came from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that enough people know that.
No. And that's so if we want to talk about like stuff in the parks that really impresses me, it's little things like the Gertie thing or the go away green. It blows my mind that the Imagineers thought about every detail, right?
Mhm.
Down to we don't want you to look there, and I'm for the audios, I'm pointing this way. We want you to look there, and I'm pointing that way, right? We want you to look away from where all the trees and garbage cans are. We want you to look at this. And so we're gonna make this color not repurposed from somebody else. They designed this color to be non looked at, to not be looked at.
Yes.
Um,
And always think about, I'm going to go to the park and I'm going to look at that color. But I know darn well there have been many more times that I've not looked at something than I've
mhm,
recognized go away green.
mhm.
Many more times.
Yeah, exactly. The other detail that I love, and I read this in Sam Genoway's book about Disneyland, which is an excellent book if you ever get a chance to pick it up. He was writing about creating the Haunted Mansion, and the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland opened after Walt passed, and he was talking about one of the painters painting the back side of the door, so audiences would never see it.
Mhm.
Like it's the door that is opened and it faces a wall. And so somebody asked this cast member or this architect or Imagineer or whoever it was, why are you painting that? And he's like, that's the way Walt would have wanted it. And so it's this commitment to excellence on top of this commitment to customer service, on top of this commitment to making everything magical that I mean impresses me to no end is what I love.
Yes. And I see that to this day in things that are created. Everyone gets up in arms about change, whether it's um Splash Mountain changing to
Mm-hmm.
Tiana's or the soon to be Cars thing that we're going to have. And I just sit back and I go, they haven't made me mad yet.
Mm-mm.
You know, they've always come up with something incredible.
Yeah,
And
and they always will, and that's the great thing about it, and yeah, we might lose Rivers of America, and I'm sorry that we're gonna lose that, um, and that's only in Florida though, right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's, I mean, we're here's the tangent that could take us another episode. And maybe this is
right.
something we could hit next week.
We'll
But,
put it in the spreadsheet.
but, the losing that in Florida is okay to me
Mm-hmm.
because it's still on the other coast.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to see the Magic Kingdom on both sides of the coast.
No,
I went to
no.
Disneyland and it was a different place. There were different things. But when I think about it, it's hard for me to pinpoint exactly what's different between the two. And so I want difference. So if I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to go to Disneyland and I'm going to ride that boat, I want to go to Magic Kingdom. Oh, there's no boat here. Well, I'm glad I rode it over there. I guess I'll have to go back if I want to ride it. I like that they're separated. I like
Mm-hmm.
that that's going to be that way. I
I
get
do.
why they were the same to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
but that was 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I do appreciate some of the differences, right? I do appreciate that the Haunted Mansion in Anaheim is different than the Haunted Mansion in the Magic Kingdom. That's nice.
You've got a kid bug in you, don't you?
Yeah, I think she responded to what I said, but I don't know what it was. I Oh, pirates. Yes, pirates.
Yeah.
Pirates is okay. So we have this thing going back and forth. Pirates is better at Disneyland than it is at Disney. No, pirate. I think Pirates might be better at Disney World than it was at Disneyland.
No.
No, that's the other way around. Okay, sorry. Don't come back. Don't come back. Uh, uh, Space Mountain is better at Disneyland than it was at Disney World. I like that. I like it better, but that's okay though, because now, the other thing you got to think about is when they made Disney World, when Walt originally envisioned Disney World. I mean, the coasts might as well have been on the other side of the planet. People
Right.
weren't jet setting from Wisconsin to Florida. They were driving to Wisconsin to Florida. And if you lived in Wisconsin, chances of you getting to California are like nothing. Like you're not doing that, right?
Right.
So this idea that we're gonna make the now it's sort of 2 hour flight. There are people in this world who have done all 6 parks in the United States in one day. It's
Right.
insane to me. Like,
I know.
why do that?
There was
But
no such thought of that, because flying was such a premium 50
Right.
years ago.
Right.
So,
So I want there to be differences in the parks, and I want there to be, different experiences. I'm kind of glad they don't have, the parties that they do at Disney World at Disneyland. I want Disneyland to be the sort of like neighborhood park almost, right? If you look back at some of the history of Disneyland, you look at, they used to have, like I said, grad night, but before that, in like the '60s, it was like date night at Disneyland. And in fact,
Mhm.
one of my favorite albums, talk about Disney music, the Elliott Brothers at Disneyland is a great album. It's all like this 60s swing, and it's super fun, and you get the idea that they were, dancing under the carnation lights at Disneyland, and it in my head it's probably way more cool than it actually was. But what I like about it is that it's this hometown park. Um, in fact, it's such a hometown park that, well, back in the '60s, my dad went to Disneyland, maybe even before that, because he might be older than that. But anyway, so he went to Disneyland, and there's pictures of him in a suit and tie, standing in front of the Main Street, with the garden topiary, with the Mickey Mouse topiary in the front gates, suit and tie, and I thought that's pretty cool. So um, I I love that Disneyland is this hometown place, and I love that Florida is this like vacation,
Yeah.
premium destination place. Um, and then the cruise line is just this whole other separate entity that I think that they've been able to distill all of the magic and cram it onto a boat and that you go sail around in the Bahamas on, and then you get to Castaway Key, and you know the ship does this big turn, and it lands, and it's this picture perfect situation. I didn't believe in the Disney bubble until we did that, and the day before we got to Castaway Key, it was kind of overcast and whatever. And the day we left Castaway Key, or the next day after Castaway Key, it was kind of overcast and whatever. And the day we were on the island, it was like perfect.
That's Walt's weather for you.
That's right. That's right. And so, like, I was sitting here going, I don't necessarily know that I believe in the Disney bubble, but everything I've seen suggests that there is a bubble over this island. Truman Show style. So,
Yeah. So this has been great getting to know you. Is there anything about the home life, personal life that you care to share beyond what you already have?
I mean, we I don't necessarily know, but I'm happy to meet new people and I'm happy to talk to people. And you can find me, just search me. I'm not the chef in Vancouver. So if you find the chef in Vancouver or the criminal from like Pennsylvania, but if you find me, reach out and have a conversation. I'm on pretty much all the socials.
Definitely reach him through Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, where you can find the show. Sure, you go out and find us there and leave us a comment because we love to read them on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And as we like to say, some live close,
but others don't.
So let's talk about it. We'll see you next time on Miles from Main Street.